gal, Violet here, second generation homeschooling mom of 3. I have a 9-year-old, a 6-year-old, and a toddler. Today I wanted to share with you our schedule for our first week of school, how it went, and then a couple of changes that we're making. So let's get into it. So I'm going to start with my son's things. This is how I set up my kids' schedules. I have all of their school subjects on this side, the dates of the week across the top, and then specific lessons here for things like spelling and handwriting where we just do the next thing. Then you can see I don't write a specific lesson. For other things, I write exactly what we're doing. It just kind of depends. This still says History Hop, but he's actually listening to a history podcast now instead. I just forgot to change that. Yeah, so this all went really well. Oh, and Monday we usually have co-op, so I've just left Monday blank. Our co-op hasn't started yet. We usually bake something together for our first day of school and also for our last day of school. So we made blueberry muffins together this year, and then he had just a picture book that I read to him. And my daughter similarly just had a little bit of reading. So it was kind of a nice, gentle ease in. And then once our co-op starts, that time will be filled with co-op things. So for him, I asked him what his favorite school subject was after finishing this first week, and he said spelling, which I always think is funny, but that's kind of been a constant for him. He really likes spelling. He did the whole All About Spelling Level 1 book in preschool, like his pre-K year, because he really wanted to do spelling. And so I pulled it out and I tried it with him, and he could spell all the words in it. It went really, really well. For his kinder year, we actually didn't do much spelling because the reading program that we were using, Reading Reflex, incorporates a lot of kind of spelling activities into it, and so that kind of satisfied his need for spelling. But now we're moving back into All About Spelling, and so he's been really enjoying it. He really enjoys spelling, really likes breaking words apart and making new words, combining things in different ways. And he uses the letter tiles for All About Spelling. The glare on this is really bad. My daughter hated the letter tiles, and so we used them for like 2 lessons, and then so she switched to writing. But my son really likes using the letter tiles, so we store them in this jewelry bead tray that I got from Michael's, and then we use the bottom of our fridge as our magnetic surface, so he'll pull them out and put them on there. So yeah, he really enjoyed spelling. It was his favorite thing from this first week of school. A couple of subjects that I was not sure how they would be received are first language lessons and writing with ease. And for first language lessons, the first few lessons are just a little bit repetitive, and I've worried with every one of my kids that they're going to find first language lessons dry. And then they always really like it. And I think it's because the lessons are very short and very straightforward. And those are things that my kids really appreciate. They much prefer very straightforward curriculum. And it's so short that they don't have time to get bored. So this went really well. He liked it. They have you start memorizing a poem in the first week, and he's really enjoyed doing that. And yeah, that went better than expected, which is awesome. And writing with ease is the same thing. In the first year, they alternate between copywork and narration, and I was unsure how much pushback he'd give me in doing the copywork specifically, but he didn't give me any. He actually said it was kind of fun. He liked copying the sentences, and then we always check that we start with capital letter and with punctuation, and yeah, it's not his favorite thing ever, but he kind of liked it, so that went really well, and the narration was fine as well. This is the guidebook for writing with ease. It tells you how to pull your own content to do all of the dictation. There's no dictation in year 1. Copywork, narration, and then eventually when you get to a dictation. So I use this and pull from our subjects, usually history, science, and literature are the things that I pull content from. For my son, his copywork is all coming from his science, which is Building Foundations of Scientific Understanding. And that's mostly because I already made all of the copywork for my daughter. I just have it all in a Google Drive sheet that I can pull up and display for him, and then he can copy it right from there. So it's really convenient that I've done that work already. And he really liked Building Foundations of Scientific Understanding as well. We did the first 2 lessons, which are all about categorizing and organizing things and talking about how there's no right way to one true right way to categorize or organize things. It's all about what you're categorizing them for. Are you categorizing them by function, by color, like what makes the most sense based on what you're doing? So he got really into that. I remember my daughter really liking that lesson as well. And then we're also continuing to use Magic School Bus as a supplement this year for my son. We did this with my daughter. We went through all of the original Magic School Bus series and Magic School Bus rides again during this first volume. And so we're just looping back around and doing that now with my son. And my kids remember some of the episodes because they've seen all of them already, but there are others that they don't remember. So that's kind of nice that it's not just stuff that they've already seen and remember. It is bringing up new things in the episodes that they don't remember before. So that went really well as well. And that's all I'm really going to talk about for my son. Oh, the other thing I will say is the history podcast that I've decided to have him listen to is, I'll put a picture up and I'll link it in the description box down below. But I chose that one because I listened to a few of the episodes. They sounded pretty good to me, like they would be engaging for him and as educational as I want them to be, while also not being so long. Some of the kids' history podcasts I looked at, every episode was half an hour, and that is longer than I wanted it to be. So these are more like the 10 to 15 minute range, and that's a much better length for us for right now. So he listened to the first two and enjoyed them. It's not a podcast that I think he's going to go listen to in his free time, but he listened to them without any complaint during the school day. So that went well too. And then this is my daughter's schedule. It's set up the same way as my son's. She has a little bit more on it because she's a little bit older. She's in 4th grade. And so I also asked her what her favorite subject was from this last week. And she said it was a tie between history and science, which she's a big science girl. She's always really liked science. We're going through BFSU pretty quickly. I'd originally planned to do this volume in 3 years. We're going to end up finishing it in 2 years because she just knows a lot about science already. She retains it really well. She finds it very intuitive and she wants to do it. So this went really well this week. We did latitude and longitude, which was supposed to take, I think, 3 lessons, and she already knew most of the stuff in the lessons, so we were able to go through it more quickly. And then this is the first time that she's ever said that history is her favorite. She's never disliked history, but it has never been her favorite before. That's always been science or math or something like that. But she said that she really enjoyed the chapters that she listened to this week. She liked doing her own coloring books instead of the history coloring pages, which we dropped the history coloring pages last year because she asked to not do them anymore. And yeah, she just had a really good first week of history, I guess. So that's exciting. I really like history. And it's always fun to share it with my kids. And then the next thing that I want to talk about briefly is writing strands. This is something that I was not sure how it was going to go. We've used Writing with Ease for 3 years, and she's gotten everything she can out of that program. And so it was time to move on to something else. And she really liked her first week of this. This book is written to the student. And she really liked that. I had envisioned us sitting down and doing these lessons together, but my daughter really likes to do things independently. And so what we ended up doing is she read, since these are written to the student, she read through the whole assignment, and then she would come and confirm with me that she understood what she was supposed to be writing before she started writing. And I had her do that because I feel like the directions they're not unclear, but you do have to read them carefully. And I think that's on purpose because one of the strands that they're working on in here is following written directions. And so they do write the directions in such a way that you have to read them carefully in order to do the assignment correctly. So I do want my daughter to be working on that skill. I do think it's important, but I also didn't want her to write an assignment and then it be not right, not following the directions, and then have to rewrite it. That just seemed kind of discouraging. So having her check in before she starts writing has prevented that from happening. And she's been pretty good with, I think there was only one time where she was a little bit confused about the directions, and so she would have asked for clarification before she started either way. This first week is all sentence expansion exercises, and so for one of the exercises she wasn't sure if she was expanding the same sentence over and over again or if she was doing different sentences each time. And it's the same sentence, you're making it bigger and bigger and bigger. So that was something that she would have asked for clarification before she started anyway, and it was really easy to go, oh look, this is the part where they said you're using this sentence for all of it. So far this has been really good, and the author definitely has kind of a dry sense of humor that comes through here that my daughter thought was really funny, but I could definitely see some kids being irritated by that. But so far this has gone really well. My daughter has really liked it. She didn't list it as one of her favorites, but it's also the thing that she has chosen to start with every morning. So that's really encouraging to me, and from what I can see so far, it looks like it's really going to help her build from sentences to paragraphs, which is our big writing goal for this year, is building strong paragraphs. And then the last thing that I wanted to talk about with my daughter is this Random House book of poetry. We're using it for the fish tank poetry unit for 3rd grade that's in the archived units section. I do not like this poetry book very much, but I do really like the fish tank unit that uses this poetry book. So I checked it out from the library for that unit. And it's going through different kinds of poetic devices, similes, metaphors, onomatopoeia, alliteration, things like that, using the poems in this book. So this is not a book that I would purchase. There's nothing horribly wrong with it, but there are a lot of poetry collections that I like way better. But I do really like this fish tank poetry unit, how it's structured, how it's set up, and all the things that it's covering. So we've been having a fun time going through that. The next thing that I want to talk about is one of our family subjects, which is music. We're doing rock and roll this year for music, and my husband got really excited when I pulled this out and asked if he could teach rock and roll to the kids, which absolutely, by all means. So he's been going through this with the kids. He actually started during the summer, and I had scheduled out when I wanted to do each lesson, and since he's taking it over, he's doing his own schedule, which is a lot faster than the one that I had planned, which is totally fine. But he's already planning units that he's going to add once we finish this book, because we'll probably finish it about halfway through the year at the speed that he's going through it with the kids right now. So this book ends at U2, so there's a lot of interesting rock and roll, and also can branch out into pop and things like that, just depending upon how much time we have and my kids' interests. My kids are really into K-pop Demon Hunters right now, so he'll probably add a K-pop unit. But yeah, this has been going really well. My kids don't like every artist that they've listened to, but in general, they've been having fun doing it with my husband. Okay, and then the two changes that we're making now that we've started are kind of more on the extracurricular side. My daughter asked to start learning piano, and we have a very close friend who's a music teacher, so she is going to start taking piano lessons with our friend. Instrument lessons were something that I was only going to pursue if my kids asked for them, so I'm delighted that my daughter asked to start learning to play the piano, and that we have a close friend who I know will be an amazing teacher. So that's going to be really, really fun. And then the other change is my daughter studies Mandarin Chinese, and she has gone to an in-person heritage school for the last 3 years. And she told me this week that she was thinking about going back to the heritage school in the fall, and she's not excited this year. She's just feeling a little bit drained and like she needs a little bit of a change. So we're going to do something else for Mandarin this year. She still wants to learn Mandarin. She still really loves Mandarin and is excited about learning it. So I'm looking into various online things. I haven't really found anything definitive yet. One of my friends recommended Global Goose Languages, which caters to homeschoolers. And I emailed the teacher who runs it. Her name is Summer, and she was very, very nice. But they unfortunately are not going to be running a Mandarin class at my daughter's level this year, so that was kind of a bummer. So yeah, I'm still kind of looking for something for my daughter for online Chinese something. If you have any recommendations, I would love to hear them. So yeah, I'm still looking. We'll see what we end up with. But yeah, those are the only two changes. They're really kind of more extracurricular things. The rest of our extracurriculars I don't usually decide on until later in the fall, once we really have our school schedule and co-op kind of down and running more smoothly. So kind of like September, October, I start to look at the other things that my kids want to do. And I usually have my kids do swim lessons as well, because I think that's really important for safety. But that's something that we'll start to look at scheduling and adding later in the fall. And 4-H too. That signups for that are like in November or something. But yeah, that's everything we have right now. Our first week went really well, and overall I was really happy with how my kids did. They were both really excited to start the new school year. And this year, because my daughter and my son have a little bit more equal load, last year he was in kindergarten, so he had a lot less. This year he still has less, but he takes more breaks, and so they ended up finishing much closer to each other. They still didn't finish at the same time every day, but there wasn't quite such a big gap, and that was actually better for both of them. I hope all of your first weeks of school went well. I would love to hear from you in the comments down below. Was there anything that surprised you? Anything that you realized you have to change now that you've gone through a whole week of whatever schedule you set up? I will link everything I mentioned in the comment box down below. I am an Amazon and Bookshop affiliate, so if you click on one of those links and make a purchase, I do receive a small commission. Thank you for watching.